So this is the second part of our polynomial section. So the first part was learning how to multiply and add polynomials. This part is learning how to factor it. So what is a factor? Not just here, but like in general, what is a factor?
Something that goes into a number.
Yes, take a point. So something that goes into a number. And a greatest common factor is a number that goes into two or more numbers. And it could also be a letter. So open this. Potatoes. Now on the left, we're going to start on the left side of our foldable. And it says simplify each expression. And it's a bunch of fractions, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to divide each of those things by whatever number is in the denominator. So for number 1, what are we dividing both terms by? 3. So we're going to write a 3 right here. And what's 9x divided by 3?
3x.
3x. Good, take a point. And what is 12 divided by 3?
4.
Ta-da, you're done. And when you factor out a monomial from any polynomial, you have to put it on the outside of the parentheses because it's still part of that problem. So it doesn't just disappear. You have to bring it to the outside. All right, on number 2, why do you think we divided by 3 here? Because it's a common factor, and it gets take a point, and it goes into both 9 and 12. Now, why do we not have a number on number 2, but we just have a letter? What's with both of them? And they don't have a number in common, right? Good, take another point. And why do you think we divided by y and not y squared? Look at you go. Alright, so what's 5y squared divided by y? When you divide like bases, what do you do to the exponents? You subtract. So what's 2 minus 1? So what would be left over? Alright, I just got a message that soccer is canceled this afternoon. So if any of you are...
But if all of them are canceled anyway.
I know, but I'm getting them one at a time apparently. I don't know, son. Oh, don't put your 5y on the outside like I did. I'm sorry, I got distracted by the text message. Y should be on the outside, and 5y should be on the inside.
Having a recorded conversation about something.
No. Alright, now I need to divide the other term. What is 7y divided by y? 7. Ta-da! Do you think you could try number 3 without me? Yes, we can. We can do it. At least try. Yay, I heard a lot of yeses. How many of us got it right? Alright, if 2 people at your table got it right, take a point. You're shocked you got that right? Why? Why do you not have faith in yourself?
I didn't feel confident going into it.
Why? Well, what part of it freaked you out? Was the fact that it was a squared on the bottom? But all you had to do was subtract, right? So we're not freaked out. Now, are we going to be freaked out by number 4? You did it already?
I'm doing it right now.
Do it right now. Go and do it super fast. If you already did it, you get to relax for a moment. Are you going to divide all the terms on that one or just one of the terms? All of them. Alright, I got 7m to the 5th times 2m squared plus 3m minus 7. Did we get it right? Yay, take a point. Okay, so on number 1, what do you notice that they took out of the polynomial or the binomial? What did they factor out on number 1? Is it a number? Is it a letter?
It was the letter that you're dividing by.
What is this? A 3. So what did they factor out? What did we factor out?
The 3?
A 3. A number. Okay. That should not have been as painful as it was. And the reason we factored out the 3 is because both of these numbers are divisible by 3. Now, number 2, what did we factor out? A letter. And why did we not factor out a number on number 2? Because there wasn't a letter. There wasn't a number, and it was divisible by a letter. What do you notice about this particular letter? They both have a Y in it, but what else is important about that one? It's not squared. Keep that in mind. Now, we divided number 3 by both a number and a letter. But why did we choose squared and not cubed? Think about that. And then the same thing here. Why did we choose m to the 5th power and not 7 or 6?
You would have had too many.
Yeah, you're all right. Good. Take a point. So you would have had too many, and you wouldn't have been able to divide your smaller ones, right? And you would have had a negative exponent had you divided by a cubed. Now, this has 3 A's and this has 2 A's. So it only has 2 A's in common. You have to take the smallest exponent whenever you're dividing by a variable. So let's look at number 5. Do they tell us what we're dividing by on number 5? So we have to figure it out. And that was our first learning target, was I can find the GCF of a polynomial and factor it. Now the GCF is the greatest common factor, so it's the biggest number that divides into both. So what's the biggest number that divides into both? 5. Do they have a letter in common? No, they both don't have a J. So we're going to bring 5 to the outside. Now what is 15J divided by 5? 3J. And then what is 10 divided by 10 divided by 5? So then it's minus 2. Why did I put a minus 2 and not a plus 2? Because it's a subtracting. It's a minus 10 right here. Alright, let's look at number 6. What do those two have in common, those two terms? Just K. Are we going to take K squared or K? Just K. Take the smallest exponent. And then you divide it out. So what is 3K squared divided by K? 3K. Take a point. And then what is 8K divided by K? 8. Take a point. Ta-da. Alright, you think you can try 7 without me? Try 7. And if you feel confident, move on to 8. So for 7, I got 8e squared, and that leaves me with 2e minus 3. How do we do? Did we get the e squared part right? Did anybody pick a smaller number than 8? Okay, you have to pick the biggest common factor. And if you picked 4, So I'm going to do that in... So if I picked 4e squared, that would give me 4e minus 6, right? But do 4 and 6 have something in common? What goes into both 4 and 6? 2. So you would have to factor a 2 out and then multiply that 2 times the 4. So it's best to pick the biggest number, because otherwise you're going to have to factor again. So pick the biggest number that goes into those. So does anybody need a moment to make sure they did number 8 right now? Okay. All right, so for 8, what's the greatest common factor? 2r cubed. Good. Y'all take a point. All right, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5r squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4r minus 7. Did we do better on that one? All right, so was the problem here we just didn't take the biggest number? All right, let's do one more to practice, and I'm going to write it right here. We're going to call this 8a so we don't mess up our numbers below. And I'm going to say for this one, what'd you get for the GCF? 6a cubed. And that leaves me 5a squared minus 7. Do we do okay on that one? Awesome. Good. All right, so your homework tonight, you're going to have 2 things because we're not going to be together tomorrow, so you should have plenty of time by Wednesday to do it. You're going to have a GCF maze, and then we're going to do common binomial factor. Maybe. Hopefully we can get through this. So the difference between the 2 is this has one thing in common. Down here we have 4 terms. So they're going to end up having 2 things in common, but they're going to be separate. Now let's look at our practice problems that they gave us. What do you notice between our first term and our second term right here? What do they have in common? X plus 9. All right. So what you do is you bring these 2 together and write it as 6x minus 4, and then you bring down your x plus 9. Ta-da. And the reason is because they both have this x plus 9, you factor it out. So the Flappy said common binomial factor. That's what this is. This is the common binomial that they have. All right, on number 10, what do they have in common? F plus 3. So you're going to bring 7f minus 2 down. And then you're going to bring down f plus 3. Now, what do you notice about each of the terms in front of the parentheses? What are they? Is it a monomial, binomial, trinomial? What is it? In front of the parentheses? I just can't really hear you, to be honest. Y'all are just whispering at me. So if it's one term, what's it called? So is this one term? It is. So that's a monomial. What is this? A monomial. What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? So when you have 4 terms, what we're going to end up doing is factoring out the monomial and then getting a common binomial. So our practice is showing us what happens when we have a common binomial. And I'd like you to do number 12 without me, please. What is our 9z going to be minus? Minus 1. Take a point. Ta-da. So when you have a polynomial that has 4 terms, and this is our second learning target, it says I can use grouping to factor a polynomial with 4 terms. What you do is you group them based on the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. And by grouping, I mean we're going to put parentheses around them. And then you pretend that second parenthesis isn't there, and you factor out what these 2 have in common. Since it's a binomial, they're going to have a monomial in common. So what goes into both 3y cubed and 12y squared? 3y squared. Good, take a point. Because that's your smallest exponent. And if you divide that, what's going to be left on the inside? Good, take a point. Alright, and now we do the same thing over here. So what do 2y and minus 8 have in common? 2. And is it a positive 2 or a negative 2? Positive. So you're going to write plus 2. 2y divided by 2 is y. And what's 8 divided by 2? 4. Does everybody see how we got to that point? Are we sure? Does anybody not see? You just need to speak now. Alright, now, do we have a binomial in common? Yes, thank you. So we bring these 2 down. We have 3y squared plus 2 and y minus 4. Ta-da! Do you want to do 14 together just to be safe? Okay. Let's do 14 together. Alright, so it's 4 terms. We're going to put parentheses around this one, and we're going to put parentheses around this one. Now, what goes into both 10p cubed and 25p squared? 5p squared. Good. I want you to tell me the whole GCF. Alright, 10 divided by 5 is? P cubed divided by p squared is? P, good. Minus, what's 25 divided by 5? P squared divided by p squared? It cancels, there's just 1. Alright, are we good so far? Awesome. Okay, what goes with what goes into both 4p and 10? 2. And then what's going to be left on the inside of my parentheses when I factor that out? (2p minus 5). Yeah, good. Take a point. Now remember, when you're factoring it out, all you're doing is dividing. So you're dividing each of these terms by 5p squared and 2. That's it. That's all you're doing is dividing. Now, do they have a binomial in common? So you bring your monomials down. 5p squared plus 2. And then you bring these down. 2p minus 5. Can you guys try 15 and 16 without me? Alright, try those. I'm going to go make copies of our homework since I'm the dummy and didn't do it before. 15. You got x squared and 7, correct? And then that gave you x squared plus 7 and x plus 1. Yes, no, maybe so. And then on 16, you would get 5r squared, which gives you 3r plus 8, and then 1. Because these don't have anything in common. So then that gives you 5r squared plus 1 times 3r plus 8. Now, before you leave me, we have a minute. Can you guys get out your phones and go to Google Classroom? Go to our class on Google Classroom. And then go to the About section. I believe it's on the About section. And you guys should all have the Google Classroom app downloaded. If you don't, you need to download it. It is March, almost April. Yep, and there's a calendar. Now click on the calendar. Real quick, click on the calendar. And you should see our schedule for the week, right? I'm going to start adding that, and along with adding our schedule for the week, attached to each day are going to be the handouts. Yeah. Attached to each day are going to be the handouts. So you should be able, in case you're absent, you should be able to print these off. Does everybody understand?